Hi Year 11, so this is your case study revision video for Typhoon Haiyan. So this is for when you see a named example of a tropical storm that you have studied, you would talk about Typhoon Haiyan. Again, we're still in the natural hazards section of paper 1. So Typhoon Haiyan was a category 5 typhoon, so that's really the highest it can be, and it struck the Philippines very close to the city of Tacloban on the 8th of November 2013 at about 4:40 a.m. The tropical storm started in the northwest Pacific Ocean. You can see on that map there that it then travelled sort of northwest towards the Philippines, and then eventually it did hit other countries such as Vietnam and Laos as well. It's one of the most powerful typhoons to affect the Philippines and the surrounding areas, and it's often referred to as a super typhoon. The wind speeds got up to around 314 kilometres per hour or 195 miles per hour. So the primary effects then. Around 6,300 people were killed during this tropical storm. They were mostly drowned by the storm surge that happened. Remember, the storm surge is where the typhoon will sort of make a massive wave on the coastline. So that's what that storm surge is. 600,000 people were displaced, so they lost their homes, and 40,000 homes were completely destroyed or flattened. 90% of the city of Tacloban was destroyed. Tacloban Airport was badly damaged as well. The fishing boats were destroyed, so 30,000 fishing boats destroyed, and you can see obviously some of the images of that on the slide there. Strong winds damaged buildings and power lines, they destroyed crops, and it caused widespread flooding from the 400 millimetres of rain that fell. Secondary effects, around 14 million people were affected. So many of these people were made homeless. 6 million people lost their source of income. So particularly if they were in the fishing industry, those 30,000 fishing boats obviously led to a lack of income for those people. Flooding caused landslides and that blocked a lot of the roads, and unfortunately that cut off aid for the remote communities in the really rural areas. Ferry services and airline flights were disrupted for weeks, and that hindered and slowed down the aid efforts. There was a shortage of water, food, and shelter, and that led to outbreaks of diseases like cholera. Jobs were lost, hospitals were damaged, shops and schools were destroyed, and that all in all affects people's livelihoods. And again, looting and violence broke out in Tacloban. In terms of responses, then, so immediately the international government and aid agencies responded with food, water, and temporary shelter. The UK government sent shelter kits, each one being able to provide emergency shelters for the families. They set up field hospitals, so the French, the Belgians, and the Israelis set up field hospitals to support them and to help people that were injured. And the US aircraft carrier George Washington and helicopters assisted with search and rescue and the delivery of aid. Long-term responses, so they eventually did start rebuilding the roads, bridges, and airport facilities. Thousands of homes got rebuilt away from flood-prone areas. Cyclone shelters have also been built to accommodate people, so they've got a safe place to evacuate. And they also did cash for work programs where people were paid to help clear up any debris and rebuild the city. An example of an exam question that you would have on Typhoon Haiyan then is this one here. So long-term responses are more effective at reducing the effects of tropical storms than immediate responses. To what extent do you agree with this statement? So obviously your command word is to what extent. We've seen this in our previous videos. We're judging the importance and suggesting how far we agree with something. Long-term responses are those things that happen months and years after. So for Typhoon Haiyan, that is things like the rebuilding of those homes. And then those immediate responses are the help that was given straight away. So again, for Typhoon Haiyan, it was those field hospitals getting set up, the search and rescue efforts that went in. And the phrase more effective means you need to be thinking about, did they actually work? Did they work at reducing the effects at causing less people to be affected by that tropical storm? So, in terms of how you would answer this for this 9 marker, again, introduce how far you agree with it and briefly introduce Typhoon Haiyan as your case study. First paragraph, you could talk about the long term responses being more effective, and then your second paragraph, on the other hand, immediate responses are effective and give examples there, and a conclusion, clearly making your judgment and summarising your key points.